So, good afternoon and welcome to our weekly Bridge Takeover. I'm your host, Claudia. And as you already know, it is the 56th anniversary of the Washington Informer. And so we have some very, very special guests joining us today, my Bridge predecessors, Sarafina Wright and Sam P.K. Coliins. So let's bring them in.
Hi.
Hey, guys. So thanks so much for joining me for our little editors powwow. And so I want to get right into it and talk to you guys about your experience at the Informer and what working with the Black press meant to you then and what it means to you now.
Sarafina, if
Okay, I'll start. I came to the Informer as an intern from Howard University. It was my last semester, and I needed that internship credit class, that thing. Mm-hmm. And I had never heard of the Informer. I had been in DC 4 years, and I embarrassingly will say that I had never even been to Southeast, and unless I was in a car. So when I found out that that's where the internship was, I was like, oh, okay. And even when my professor was like, we have an alum, she's looking for some interns, because I had not secured an internship at that point. And in that time, I really didn't care. I was just so burnt out. I was like, well, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But that opportunity came through, and I sent Denise this super long email introducing myself and attaching my resume, and she emailed me back and she said, let's meet, period. And she had the address and Thursday at 12:30. And I was like, oh, okay. So went there. When I walked in, I was like, okay, all right. I saw Chevry, saw John DeFreitas, saw Ron Burke, and I was like, okay, older people. I couldn't what it is that I had walked into. Mm-hmm. I saw Roy Lewis. I was expecting, like a newspaper where it was like, very sterile, I guess. I don't know. I didn't know what I was expecting, and then Kevin walks in with his grits and his eggs and his bacon and,
and his fabulous man jewelry.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. His rings.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, okay. And I sat through the meeting, and after it was over, Kevin looked at me and he was like, can you write? I was like, I don't know. He was like, well, we'll see. But that was my introduction, and I immediately felt something there that I hadn't felt my whole time in DC. Mm-hmm. Just being around like real people, in the sense of like people that I would know. Like I saw my family and these people, like, oh, he acts like my uncle, she acts like my mom, And so it just felt like a safe environment for me to come there, as an intern and working on the weekends to get my stories in. And I really took to the straight and direct criticism about my writing. Kevin would say, don't do that again, that sucks. And I was like, okay. And I would apply the changes. And then, okay, we didn't talk about that anymore. And so we moved on, and I continued to get better. And at the end of the summer, they offered me to come on as a contributor, and that's what I did. And then that turned into a staff writer position, and then that was August of 2015. And a year later, I was offered the Bridge position once Sam decided to move on. So I'll segue it to Sam right now.
All right. Give thanks, Sarafina. It was very cool hearing you just touch back on that, because I remember meeting you, if I recall correctly, had to be 2015 or so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right when the Bridge, right around the point where we first launched it. By 2015, I had been with the Informer for like 3 years. Mm-hmm. So I joined the Informer as a grad student. I met Denise through another awesome elder named Robin Marcus. She was a professor at GW, where I graduated from. So when I was in grad school, by that time, we had done a campus publication. Denise came down to speak with us. And then after that, Denise and I, we started building on, me possibly writing for the paper. We went out to eat. And then I remember one point, I said something, looking back, it was kind of, immature, nonchalant. I was like, this is going to be easy. And Denise was like, no, it's not. It's not going to be easy. Like, no, it's not. And lo and behold, 8 years in.
Mm-hmm.
Not consistently. I did 7 years. I took a year break of not writing in the Informer, but I really learned how hard it is. How much time you gotta dedicate. But at the same time, like there's a rush. I get a certain kind of euphoria from it. Reason why I'm up writing copy or interviewing people or just thinking the stories is keep me up at night. And I learned about the business from another Denise at the paper. Her name was Denise W. Barnes. So she, you're talking about Kevin tearing up copy. Denise W. She tore up copy, and for a year, I was really anxious to turn in my copy to her, but the Informer was the best internship professional experience that I got as a journalist because these other papers, the so-called mainstreams, like they're just gonna keep you at the desk. There's nobody there really invested in your well-being, somebody who can school you on the business, give you the racial, rundown. Like there's a lot of historians on the paper. I like being around elders, just because like you get to learn that history and they get to tell you where they were at this point, man. Shout out to Roy Lewis, man. He's a real gem in the community. And I always love building with him and just other professionals who can just get me to the next level. And, that's what the Bridge represented. I'm going to wrap up here, but the Bridge, it's real emotional. Like Black press is really important. It's really like family. Because we really care about people. When people can tell you about their lives and they feel comfortable, you really take that seriously, representing them in the paper. And the Bridge was a chance for us to do that, especially in 2015 with the Justice of Else, which was actually the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March. We did some stuff, not necessarily around that, but around that climate. And, the paper sort of reflected it at that time, as you can see here. So I just wanted to show y'all that piece of history that we're making at the Informer. Give thanks for the Informer, Dr. Calvin Rolock Barnes, and everybody else who came out of that.
Yes, absolutely. And so let me just let you all know at home that this man is not just a contributing writer for the Bridge. He's also my copy editor. And, without him, I just don't think I could function. And so I'm very, very thankful. And so, how do you all feel that your experience with the Informer has shaped you for your future aspirations? Like, what do you think was the most valuable lesson you learned?
For me, it's so many things. I feel like the Informer is like home base because, and I think someone told me, I think it was Chevy, you'll never come home with us. And I was like, okay. But in 2018, early 2018, I decided to move back where I was from, Charlotte, North Carolina.
Hey, it's where my grandma's from.
Oh, awesome. Where did she go to school?
I have no idea. She's very old, but she taught there. My mother went to, I think, East Mecklenburg.
Okay, I went to West Charlotte, so the Black high school in Charlotte. But yeah, so I decided to move back home, and I knew that I wanted to get more skills in the media industry, and I just wanted to. Actually, a former professor, Ron Harris, he told me that you need to move on from the Informer and just see what I can do out there. And at the time I was like, no, I like it here. It's great. And he was like, that's the problem. You need to stretch yourself. And so I decided to do that. And I got a job as a radio producer for NPR Charlotte, for Charlotte NPR station. And I'm doing that for a year and a half. It was great. And I learned so many things, but that pull of, being a journalist, of being a writer, of knowing the stories, of talking to people really, 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 really started to pull me back. And it was like, I called Kevin, the editor, and I was like, I think I want to start writing. I don't see myself doing this for too much longer because you get to that place in life where it's like, oh, this doesn't really feed me. Mm-hmm. And when you're growing up and you see movies and people having these like choices, like, you can't really relate. But that was me just this year. And I was like, this isn't feeding me. And I want to do something that feeds me. And that pulled me right back to the Informer. So what I'm doing now is freelance writing for the Informer and other publications. And then I'm running my own lifestyle and entertainment site, sarafinaWright.com. And so many things, just to wrap it up, that I've learned from the Informer, how to, work the room. I get that from Chevry. How to, kind of get people to give you what you want. And I need this information. I need you to give it to me. And just having that confidence and that boldness that, you deserve to be in the room. Obviously, how to not make it a meal, as Kevin would say. Sometimes we kind of get lost in the sauce when we're trying to write a story and trying to sound smart and trying to sound like we know what we're talking about, but just giving a little bite, and you can always come back later to give people more. So that's some of the few things. I could go on and on. I'll let Sam go.
No doubt. And as far as professionally, over my time at the Informer, like especially as I got older, I've developed not only professionally but more personally and spiritually, and just understanding how media is one piece of the puzzle as far as our self-determination as African people. So I identify as a Garveyite. Kevin jokes a lot about Marcus Garvey, of course, and and it's all light-hearted, of course. But when it comes to really representing ourselves as Black people and having our own voice and finding it and using the newspaper as a means of organizing and galvanizing around certain issues, that is something that I take very seriously. Just given my experiences at a PWI and working among people of various races, and I'm very race first, and like everything that I do. I don't preach hate at all, but I'm of the mindset that we got to do for ourselves and be self-determined. Absolutely. And that has really informed my professional trajectory. Just working as a contractor and leveraging opportunities to serve as a copy editor, as an educator, as a writer, learning different things. And, for the time being, that's what I see myself doing, developing more in that regard, and just expanding my knowledge of what's happening here and around the world to make more original pieces and just dig deeper in my curiosity. But I'm doing it all for the goal of organizing our people around self-determination, because that's what's really important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so as we get ready to wrap it up, if you all could just leave me with your fondest memory of the Informer, that would be amazing.
That's tough. This is kind of sentimental, I guess, and nobody will probably remember this at all. But I think it was the day that I picked up my internship check, like the internship had ended and we got our stipend, and I came down to the Informer, and it was May-ish 2015. It was really hot outside, and I got on the metro and rode the bus up. And I just remember walking in, and at that point I had been there a couple months, and from going to school there and not having any family there and not ever really feeling like I had met people that I considered family, or that I felt like, okay, that energy that you can't really describe. I was leaving and I was like, okay, back on the bus, back on the, back to all that. And Kevin and Chevry were leaving at the same time, and they both looked at me and they were like, get in this car. We're going to take you home. Where you going? And I was like, and it was something so small, but it was like, wow, that feeling of, older people who, just saw me as, one of them, as somebody that they cared enough about how they got home. And that continued, of course. So I think that really was the moment where I felt like, I am bonded to this place and these people, and I'm grateful to be here.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Sam?
Yes, ma'am. My throwback memory, and I got a throwback. This one, once again, involves Denise W. Just because she was the hardest. You speak about copy editing, she was really, like, she would sit on the phone with you and go over that copy line by line for minutes and hours at a time. And if you got it wrong, she would send you back. Then you got to come back and write it again and again and again, especially if she saw something in you. And I remember it was 2013, summer 2013, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was speaking at a school. no, he was reading at a school. It was Bowen Elementary in Southwest, and I had to go down there and cover it. And when I turned in that copy, as I was writing it, son told me like, "All right, man, this is going, you know." And lo and behold, it was like that was Denise W. That was like a turning point in my whole career. Like she was just like astounded. You know, we got through the copy quickly. I did all the right things, and you know, it might seem small to y'all, but like that was really important to me as far as my career as a journalist and just being more confident in my writing.
I mean, absolutely. I think that some of the most impactful moments can be, deemed the smallest moments, but it's when you feel like you've really accomplished something, when you feel like you've really been embraced. It might seem like whatever to someone else, but you know what you've been going through and what you've been trying to achieve personally. And so I think that's what makes it what it is. Okay, thanks so much for joining me today, you guys. And so now you all at home, be sure to check out HR Records IG story tonight live at 9 o'clock featuring Weta, which is a trio of Guatemalan and Mayan descent. And now we're going to go back to Denise for a special anniversary tribute.